In March of 1991, the country of Sierra Leone was plunged into an 11-year civil war when fighters of the Revolutionary United Front, the RUF, launched a war from the east of the country near the border with Liberia in order to overthrow the government. At the time, the RUF rebel group was under the leadership of Foday Sankor. During this period, Foday Sankor had a close relationship with the Liberian warlord turned president, Charles Taylor. They had met in Libya at one of Muammar Gaddafi's training camps for revolutionary movements on the continent. In fact, Charles Taylor's troops accompanied the RUF rebels when they invaded Sierra Leone. This civil war in Sierra Leone resulted in the death of an estimated 50,000 people, as well as the displacement of over 500,000 people. In this episode of African Biographics, we cover the grim story of Sierra Leone's Revolutionary United Front and their leader, Foday Sankor. So this was the state of affairs in Sierra Leone at the time. The country was in a fragile position after gaining its independence from Britain in 1961. In the 30 years ranging from 1961 to 1991, successive post-colonial governments could not provide clean water, dependable electricity, decent education, or affordable health services to most of the masses in the country. The dominant regime, called the All People's Congress Party, also repressed its opponents, conducted fraudulent elections, and fostered a culture of corruption and impunity in Sierra Leone. So the environment in the country was rife for disaffected young people to stand up and pose a challenge to the administration of President Joseph Momo. This is where Foday Sankor and the RUF came into the picture. Foday Saibana Sankor was born on the 17th of October 1937 in the northern part of Sierra Leone. He joined the Sierra Leone Army in 1956, 5 years before the nation gained independence from the British. In 1971, while he was a corporal in the Sierra Leone Army, Foday Sankor was expelled and imprisoned for 7 years at the Pademba Road prison in Freetown. This was because he had participated in a mutiny against the government. Upon his release from prison, Foday Sankor worked as a wedding and portrait photographer and as a cameraman for the state television service in the south and east of Sierra Leone. It was here where he first encountered young anti-government radicals who felt aggrieved by the government of Sierra Leone. This group of young students recruited Foday Sankor into their movement. This is the point where the seeds were sown for the later formation of the RUF. So Foday Sankor and other Sierra Leoneans were recruited for military training in Benghazi, Libya, for an armed revolution against the regime of President Joseph Momo. This was in 1987. In this group of radicals, Foday Sankor was at least a decade older than most of his contemporaries, and they referred to him as Pa or Papi. While there, Sankor and two other trainees, Abu Kanu and Rashid Mansare, met and befriended Charles Taylor, who was the head of the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, the NPFL. Charles Taylor had started his own revolution against Samuel Doe's regime in Liberia in 1989. So in this regard, Foday Sankor helped Taylor launch the Liberian Civil War on Christmas Eve of 1989. The war-ravaged nation of Liberia gave Foday Sankor and his fellow comrades a fertile recruiting ground and a launching pad for their revolution in Sierra Leone. Foday Sankor returned to Sierra Leone in 1991, and with the help of Abu Kanu and Rashid Mansare, the crew formed the Revolutionary United Front, the RUF. At the time, the government of Joseph Momo was widely perceived by its citizens as being corrupt and having caused widespread unemployment in Sierra Leone. So it came as no surprise that in the beginning, the RUF was popular with some citizens in Sierra Leone. This is because in the beginning, Foday Sankor promised many improvements, such as free healthcare and public education, as well as a share of the diamond revenues. And this was if he managed to overthrow the incumbent government. So the RUF began its operations on the 23rd of March 1991 when it launched its first attack of the civil war in villages in the diamond-rich eastern province of Sierra Leone. Unfortunately, as the RUF control spread, so did reports of widespread atrocities. When the RUF troops attacked the town, they usually tore it down, burning schools, hospitals, and homes. Those captured were forced to work as slaves for the RUF, and women were often forced into sexual slavery. Foday Sankor personally ordered most of the operations under the title Operation Pay Yourself. Under this operation, he encouraged his troops to loot anything they could find. Eventually,